Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. Nice to see you all. Welcome to Monaco. Well, I'm going to answer it, but the man to my left was in it. So this isn't a theoretical what could the car do if we look at it on a computer and we have the data in. This is a what did the car do when this man was in it driving it. So 0 to 60 miles an hour.
Okay.
I'll put some context around it. So the speed that we would do that in our Gen 3 car is about 2.7, 2.8 seconds, something like that. Very similar to a Formula 1 car, which is around 2.6 seconds. Bruno delivered that time in 1.82 seconds. So about 30% faster than the fastest FIA single season.
I knew you had that stat in your back.
I've every stat. I have every single stat. By the way, Tony said this is all embargoed till this evening. I'll say some things on this stage that are embargoed forever. Because I normally don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not. So
we're going to have fun. Talk to us, obviously we're here in Monaco. This is our second season with the Gen 3 car, but today we're unveiling this latest evolution. Can you give us a bit of an overview and a rationale of developing such a new car? Why is this important? And how does this align to Formula E's goal?
So let's do why it's important, and then I'll give an overview on how it takes place, but the gents on my left are much closer to the development of it. So why it's important, when Formula E was founded, and it was founded 9 years ago, we're in our 10th season, it wasn't just founded as a let's make an amazing racing series. That was very much one of the pillars, but there are three. There was let's make an amazing racing series. Let's create a platform where technology can be transferred from the racetrack into the road cars of the manufacturers that sign up to race in Formula E. And the third was we want to educate the world about climate change, sustainability, and the need to do something differently. So there were three things.
Okay.
So when we talk a little later about the development of this car, it's very easy to jump to the racing part of it. And these gents will tell you about how it's going to affect the racing, and Bruno's driven it, and you'll get a good sense of what it might feel like to race in it next year, and we've said how fast it goes. But we also have to say, a lot of the changes on the car are to open up technology for our manufacturer partners to learn more, so they can develop their road cars more quickly. But also, a lot of the changes are driving even further from a sustainability point of view. So we are net zero, we've been net zero from day zero, but we have a very aggressive commitment, science-based target commitment, to reduce our underlying carbon emissions by 45% between 2020 and 2030. So when these amazing opportunities come around to develop a new car, that's an opportunity to do things more efficiently and more sustainably. So that's why it's important.
Yeah.
In terms of what goes into it, I'm going to let these gents describe it in more detail. What I will share with you is I'm about a year in the role. And when I joined the business, I walked in, on my desk there was a lot of paperwork. But one of the bits of paper was the Gen3EVO, which was, in a year's time, we have this opportunity to close out the development of this new car. And I read it, and I looked at the spec and the changes that went from Gen 1 to Gen 2 to Gen 3.
That's not the Gen 3.
That part of the media. I looked at the changes 1, 2 to 3. The changes in this car from a performance point of view could have warranted a jump to Gen 4. But everyone knows when we get to Gen 4, it's much bigger battery, much more power, so there's kind of a huge leap. So it felt right not to wait for 4 years for a generational change, but to do something in the middle. In terms of what it takes a bit of vision, make it look better, make it go faster. That was all I added, by the way, to the spec. And then it takes a lot of hard work to get this thing right.
And lots of contribution and collaboration, which...
From the drivers into the technical team, from the technical and safety team, from the manufacturers, from us as a promoter, everybody feeding into it.
Yeah.
And of course the reality is you can't deliver everything for everybody, but I think what you'll see tonight when you see the car in the flesh, and what you'll hear from Bruno in terms of what it's like to drive, it's a pretty material improvement.
Amazing. Well, Marek, we've talked a little bit about that collaboration effort. Can you talk to me a little bit about how does this contribute to the FIA's vision of wanting to constantly push the boundaries of the latest and most sport technology? You've got such a good collaboration here, so can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, that's true that as an FIA we have this responsibility to be, I would say, on the right side of the technological challenges and to anticipate as much as possible what happened in the world. And of course the powertrains is part of that, but it's not only about the powertrain, about the new technologies, about the energy transition. It's also about safety. It is also about new solutions on aerodynamics, new material that can be used for motorsport. So we have a very large area of responsibility, I would say, to consider anticipating any new evolution changes of the on the technology of the cars. And this is exactly what happened here, and I think that Formula E in general is a very relevant showcase for that. We identify, we try to project in advance, far in advance, I would say, 3-4 years, it's a term that we can reasonably see what how technology will evolve. And what is important from our perspective is to be relevant for the automotive industry, for racing, for motorsport fans, and for the racing format that we are there for with our partners to promote. And this is how we work since the beginning on the Formula E toward the new generation, toward the new evolution, to define the right specification of the new cars, and this was about also this generation. What is really interesting is that we need to address all the topics in the same time. So when we increase the parameters and the power, acceleration and the top speed of the car, it implies other considerations, also on safety, also. But the effect on that and the outcome from the power exercise is very exciting.
I love that you use the word relevant. It's one every time we talk to any of the drivers and the team principals, that relevancy keeps coming up. How do you obviously Formula E was born on the streets. There was this mission as a racing series to be the most thrilling and exciting. How do you both balance that forward-thinking vision of wanting to remain as relevant, but also remaining true to that initial vision that the FIA had with this series? How do you balance those two?
Yes, it's a very, I would say, very subtle balance, so we have to address that, because Formula E born in the street, and as it is a case of in all racing competition, we have to design a car which is, I would say, adapted to the condition, to the racing condition. So street, it is at street tracks are very specific in that respect. So we have different constraints to be applied when we are racing on the non-permanent track on the street compared to the permanent one. But we would like to also to see some other features. We would like to have a car which is competitive, which is, I would say, designed for this specific environment, and it was taken into account since the beginning. Yeah. This is a part of the DNA of the Formula E and the racing. But as we want to continue to evolve, our ambition with the third generation and the Gen3EVO was to build up, to propose a car which would be very attractive to see, to have a very exciting races, wheel-to-wheel, in drivers, with overtaking, and this is how we build up this core concept. So street racing was always and will remain as a part of this big story in Formula E.
Amazing. Jeff, I have one last question for you before we speak with Xavier and Bruno about really, let's get into the technicality of all of this and the technology. How do you explain, you've come such a long way these last 10 years, what does, if the Gen3EVO car was the embodiment of what is more to come and how far we've come, again, talk to us about that, just like, how does this explain how far we've come and how much further we can still go? And this is just the beginning of the technology.
So I'll try not to make this a history lesson
Great.
for everyone, because that would be great. That would be very dull for everyone.
Nice.
But EV technology, internal combustion technology, are about the same age. So they're both initially developed in about 1870, 1880. They've been around for a very long time. The reality is the cost and range of the cars meant internal combustion won out. Yeah. Strangely enough, in 1880, nobody was particularly worried about emissions. So they've had like 110, 120 years of refining and developing the performance of what is the internal combustion engine, and that's what you see in petrol and diesel cars. EV technology has only really been in our world since 2008, when Tesla introduced the Roadster as a road car. So this is only, whatever that is, 16 years old. So this is a technology in its absolute infancy from a road perspective. And if you think about it, so that's 16 years on the road, it's 9 years racing on a track, and what we're announcing today is a car that's 30% faster than any other single-seater FIA World Championship car. So the speed of technological acceleration, I don't mean on the track, I mean general acceleration, is incredible around battery electric vehicle. I suspect over the next 4 to 5 years, I don't think people are going to be screaming at us and saying, can you make that 1.5 seconds? I imagine what they're going to be saying is, let's now use the opportunity to create batteries that can do 1,000 miles of range on the road, that can be charged in 30 minutes, not 4 or 5 hours. So our focus will migrate from just performance to focus much more on performance with range, with charging capability. Because if we're sitting here in 5 or 10 years' time and we've got cars that can do 1,000-mile range, that can perform like our racing cars, that can be charged in half an hour, that's our best chance of decarbonising road transport, by getting people to migrate off of internal combustion onto battery electric vehicles.
I love that. Bruno, we've heard about the speed, we've heard about the acceleration. You are maybe one of the few people who's driven both the Gen3 car and the Gen3EVO car in the most simplistic way to people who will probably never get an opportunity to drive a car like that. What does it feel like? First of all, what did it feel like driving the Gen3EVO car, and then maybe put it into perspective with the Gen3 car? How much has changed?
Well, good afternoon. I must say, wow, acceleration, it's something impressive. I mean, when you go from 0 to 100 in less than 2 seconds, I don't think I rode a roller coaster that fast in my life, even trying quite powerful cars as we have the safety car, for example. But this thing is really, really fast. This Gen3EVO with this improvement of traction, and the car will actually perform on a different way. It's special, I can tell you.
What makes it so special? Apart from it's fast.
Well,
is there anything else for you?
it became everything. The process was actually very interesting because with FIA and Formula E, back in 2023 when we started testing, we had an objective which was break the Guinness World Record indoor. And as you know, in London XL Exhibition Centre we don't have such a long straight. So we had actually to maximize the potential of the car to beat this record. Along the way, on this process, we collect a lot of data. We learn a lot about the car with the experts from FIA and the engineers taking care of the car. And yeah, we managed, we break the world record, and here we are with this new car, which is honestly a lightning bolt.
Did anything surprise you? Was there any surprises when you jumped into this car?
We were surprised you didn't crash it. Does that
That
count?
question wasn't to you, Jeff. So you were surprised there was no crashes, which was great, all around.
Yeah,
And
I cannot close my shirt because my neck now.